Hey guys, it's K-Rod here. Back at it with another video before I get off to work. But I wanted to make this little video to talk about Mortal Kombat 1 in regards to Sub-Zero. So, yeah, let's get right into it. This will be a quick little video. But before I get into that, be sure to hit the like button, do what y'all gotta do. And let's get right into it, man. So, as you guys may know, I'm very critical of Mortal Kombat, and I do vouch for Sub Zero because I do like using him a lot. For those of you that may not know me, um, I mostly play Scorpion, but I do like playing Sub Zero, and I like to be this type of player for Mortal Kombat to kind of talk about certain characters and explain like why I have my views for certain characters for Mortal Kombat games. But for today's video, we're gonna just be talking about certain matchups for Sub Zero today, and then I'm also going to make another video talking about why Sub Zero is still bad in Mortal Kombat 1, to kind of further explain like why he's not really good. And I would hope for the next game, for MK2, that can be a possible thing for the future. And I'm also going to talk about Injustice 3, probably make like a little tier list for that. So, um, yeah. So yeah, let's get right into it. I definitely will get like my videos out there for you guys sooner than later. I'll probably make them when I get back home. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. We got this little tier list here for y'all. I'm gonna be giving you guys my take on my tier list on Sub Zero. So this is gonna be all of what the tier maker listings that I have for Sub. This tier list would be Sub Zero wins if you play smart, let the whole fight. But 9 times out of 10 you're always going to win. And then this other section is tough match, but Sub Zero can win. 50-50 fight for Sub Zero, which that's usually like a really difficult fight, but you can win the fight. You have to be very smart. Um, the C tier section, well, yeah, this is like the S tier section, and this is like the A tier section, and this is the C tier section, and then this is D tier, and this is like the F tier section. So yeah, I'm gonna break down every single matchup, and I'm going to try to like basically summarize it as best I can. So if you guys have any questions for that, um, yeah, that'll further like assist you for that. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna explain like my whole take on this, and we're gonna get right into it. So let's do Liu Kang. Um, for this, I'm gonna probably say, um, I'm gonna put it right here. The reason why I say Liu Kang is in this section is because Sub Zero can beat Liu Kang, but it's a very tough match for Sub Zero, where Liu Kang, he's able to use his little fireball projectiles, and he's able to reset you by doing like the little like Liu Kang Motaro setup, or using Liu Kang Chameleon, or even in today's meta, Liu Kang Striker is really cancerous. But if you play very smart up against Liu Kang, it is like a 6-5 matchup, in my honest like opinion. Or like it's a 5-5 matchup. Like I should probably put it like right there. Like it could either be a 6-4 matchup, or it can be a like at least a 5-5 matchup, because the problem with this like the problem with Liu Kang for Sub Zero is that Sub Zero can very well beat Liu Kang, but as I had stated in the past, Sub Zero is not the strongest character out of this entire Mortal Kombat series. So it's like you have to play very smart up against Liu Kang, where your only means to win is actually you have to be very careful with Liu Kang's fireballs. You can't let him zone you. You have to be careful with his little command grabs, well, his like throw grab setups, and everything else as far as him doing like the little boring kick, like kick combo that he likes to do just to get that extra like 45% damage or 50% damage. You just have to like basically be careful with that. Liu Kang does have punishable strings that you can whiff punish him for, but for Sub Zero's case, you just have to be very smart and be very patient. Sub Zero can beat Liu Kang, but it's not like your type of matchup where you could just walk right through him and just be like, oh yeah, like you could automatically just beat like Liu Kang. So I'm gonna put him right there in the um. I'll put him right here in the A tier. Liu Kang is a great, formidable like opponent for Sub Zero, but if you just play smart, then you'll definitely beat him. So yeah, let's talk about the next matchup. We got Kung Lao. This is a tough one. Um, I would say it's 50-50, but I could put him right here in the difficult fight, section, because Kung Lao, if he plays like Sector or let's just say Kung Lao cameo, or even at times I've seen Kung Lao striker, and I've seen like Kung Lao chameleon at times, which that's never always used, yeah, that's never always used all the time, but I would say personally, in my honest opinion, this is a 50-50 fight for Sub Zero. Sub Zero doesn't really have the best matchups with Kung Lao players because Kung Lao, he's able to use his little hat projectile to kind of like use his zoning. And if Sub Zero is able to get past that using the ice slide at times, that's where Kung Lao can be whiff punished pretty well. Um, I will say that if you're able to use Ice Clone smart in this particular matchup, you'll be able to beat him. Kung Lao players can't really do anything once you get that Ice Clone going, and they can't really use like the little like dive kick nonsense, which again, like Sub Zero, he's really good at using his dive kick. Sub Zero is really good and very, very strong with his, universal ice clone setup. So if you want to get like a 50-50 reset off of Kung Lao, you're able to, because Kung Lao, he can't do anything to you like as soon as you get that ice clone going. He will try to armor at times if a good Kung Lao player is really trying to get their pressure off of you. So I would say if you're playing smart up against a Kung Lao player, then you will win. If you're not playing smart, then Kung Lao will beat you. But 9 times out of 10, it's not always like the easiest matchup for Sub Zero. So that's why that I would put it right here, as a 50-50 fight. All right, let's talk about Raiden. This is a very easy matchup for Sub Zero. Simply because, like, at one point in time when Raiden was broken at the beginning of the beta, he did have the universal setup with his Storm Cell, so that's what made Raiden really strong. But once Raiden got nerfed, Sub Zero was able to just beat the crap out of him a lot harder. Sub Zero, he was able to beat Raiden, back when Raiden was powerful during the beta release, so I would say Raiden is not that difficult for Sub Zero, and I've tend to like I basically I've started to I've started to realize that Raiden players just basically spam the Storm Cell, and then they also do the electric charge or the thunder charge. Like don't you know the thing where Raiden tries to like charge at you with with his like thunder charge strike. So I would say that's what makes Raiden players very brain dead when they do that. So I would say Raiden, he's up here. Sub Zero can very well beat him. If you play your cards right and you're being really smart the whole match, you're like 9 times out of 10, you're dominating Raiden players. All right, let's talk about Lee May. I say Lee May is a Sub Zero win matchup. Um, the one thing I hate about Lee May is her damage output. She does a lot of damage just for one bar combo, and I think that's what makes Lee May players very very broken. But that makes up for her broken damage to be whiff punishable, because whether Lee May's using Movado or using Janet Cage or Scorpion, because she needs to do aerial combos in order to get those little mix up resets off of you. Um, you can beat her. I can see the vision where Sub Zero players that are very good. Shout out to Sikander. He's really smart with showing you how easy the Lee May matchup is. Even though back then when Sub Zero didn't have all of his damage scaling having to be given to him to be well to be like even before Sub Zero got nerfed, he was doing good up against Lee May during the beta. But when Sub Zero was nerfed, when he wasn't able to get past like 35% damage on his own, and you had to use like a cameo just to barely. Yeah, yeah, like you basically had to use like your whole cameo bar just to try to get past 35% and actually hit like 45%, using Serena or some other cameo that could work for him, that being Chameleon at one point in time. Um, yeah, Sub Zero was able to beat Lee May, and then once Sub Zero got rebuffed for his damage scaling as of recently, along with his ice clone, where he was able to use his ice clone, as like a triple ice clone. And then I believe the startup was like a little bit faster for the ice clone. I know ice clone did get buffed, but where it's at right now, Ice Clone is definitely not at the strongest, level of where it should be. So I would say like even with Sub Zero being nerfed by NRS to the point where he's not able to use all of his abilities against Lee May, he's still able to destroy Lee May. And Lee May players, if they're just playing stupid like the whole match, where they're just trying to go for a button mashing damage, um, yeah, you can easily whiff punish that if you up block it or you flawless blocker, and she can't do nothing to you. Use the clone. Make sure that you don't try to zone out with her. You can use Sonya because Sonya is a very good cameo for Sub Zero to destroy Lee Mei. I used to play Cyrax a lot for Sub Zero once Sikander was kind of doing like the Cyrax tech, like with him to teach you how to beat Lee Mei or how to beat any of the tough matchups. So like personally with me, like I don't really care to use Cyrax anymore because Sub Zero needs a projectile to win, the zoning battle. So if you guys want to make it easier on yourself, you could always use Serena. Serena is always at the good bread and butter combo cameo, where like if the opponent is being stupid to try to like play like the footsies game like with you, you could always use Serena to help you out. But with the yeah, with like the Sonya tech, I would say the Sonya tech is like a lot better, and it would make Sub Zero a lot stronger if he was able to have his ice ball where it was fast enough, and then on top of that, you were able to like use your ice clone that was strong to have like faster recovery, and then your ice slide was faster. If like basically, if Sub Zero wasn't nerfed to where he's at now, and he had all of his moves that were legacy movesets, he would destroy Lee Mei players a lot worse. But the thing is like Sub Zero can beat Lee Mei. Like you just have to play very smart up against her. But yeah, Lee Mei is like that is a winnable matchup for like a for Sub Zero. All right, so let's talk about Garrus. I'm gonna put Garrus right here. This is a difficult fight for Sub Zero simply because Garrus, he's very strong with his time stop abilities. He can just basically zone you with with his hourglass, and if he gets his hourglass full, he could basically regenerate his health. If you're trying to like get a comeback on Garrus, so yeah, Garrus players are very smart with what they do to try to like zone you out, and they're very strong with like the infinite resets that they get with like with cameos like Motaro, and I do know that with Kung Lao cameo can make Garrus players pretty strong for using that type of cameo. So yeah, I would say Garrus is a pretty tough fight for Sub Zero, but you can beat Garrus if you play smart up against him. So that's my take on that. Let's see, Kitana. You can beat Kitana. Um, a lot of people try to say that she is difficult to play against, but I think when you get when you understand like her combos as soon as she's trying to pressure you, you can destroy her pretty quickly. Kitana players are tough to fight against because Sub Zero has like an issue with the zoning, but once Sub Zero gets those clone setups up against Kitana players can't spam up the armor up against Sub Zero. I will say if you're gonna use Ice Clone when Kitana is going to wake up. So I would try to like finish a combo in the corner, and then try to block first. And then if Kitana tries to wake up with an armored move, then you go with Punisher, and then use the Ice Clone setup. Once again, because I think that the problem is that even with players with Sikander, like he tries to like use the Ice Clone way too early. So therefore, when Kitana players use the armor, they could just use that armor to kind of save themselves from getting pressured. but that's why Kitana players are so broken and so brain dead. But in like to my honest opinion, like I think that the best way to kind of beat a Kitana player is let her armor first, and then you use your EX like abilities as soon as you're able to pressure her, because she can't do nothing to you like as soon as Sub Zero captures her right into the corner, or even uses like the ice clone setup when Kitana tries to use her aerial nonsense to try to like zone you out. So I say be safe without the zoning game. You could use Sonya cameo and use Serena to beat out Kitana zoning, and then on top of that you could use ice kick, or with the ice dive kick to give yourself that safety. For you to kind of like to kind of make up the matchup a lot easier for you to beat her. So that's like my whole take on that. So yeah, either way, she's a really smart, she's a really good matchup for Sub Zero, but Sub Zero can win that fight. But yeah, let me kind of like speed run through this. Melina, that's a 50-50 fight for Sub Zero. Y'all know how that matchup goes. Melina, she uses like the ball roll. She does like a lot of spamming with her, infinite resets with her command grabs. And if she's using Scorpion cameo or using Pharah or using any other broken nonsense, Melina players are very annoying, and they don't take any skill to actually get really good with her. But I will say for Sub Zero, that the 50-50 fight, you can defeat her. You have to be very smart up against her. But once you do play smart up against her, you can definitely destroy her. It's a 6-4 matchup, for Sub Zero. Let's talk about Tanya. This is a tough fight for Sub, but he can win. Simply because she likes to do this bullshit infinite reset to kind of do like these like little 20% reset combos. And at first, Tanya, she was able to use her broken armor like in a wake up to use Goro to kind of like get that safety off of like a wake up. So therefore, if she uses like the little like I forgot what that type of kick was, but it's like a spinning kick that kind of like hits Sub Zero as like a low, and then she could use that with Goro to wake up with it, and then she could just like command grab launcher you. So I don't like that. I think that's BS, but I do know that they did nerf that in previous patches. So Tanya can easily get destroyed by Sub Zero, but it's just like a annoying matchup for Sub Zero. Now let's talk about Scorpion. Scorpion is a. I'm gonna put it right here. That's a tough fight for Sub Zero. He can beat Scorpion, but Scorpion players like to use like the bullshit spear nonsense, and that's what makes Sub Zero struggle. In my honest opinion, once you beat out Scorpion's spear, and you're able to kind of get those universal clone resets off of him, you could beat Sub Zero. Reptile. I'm gonna put this match as a Sub Zero wins, category. Reptile players are very strong when they're able to use like that little cancel bullshit, but once you get that, pattern going to like know defensively how to break reptile players down, they can't do nothing to you. Let's talk about Smoke. Smoke is a 50-50 fight for Sub Zero. I don't care what anybody says. Smoke players are trash, but for some weird reason, they get these crazy smoke, basically invisible cancels, and I think that's what makes Sub Zero players go through like a tough matchup up against them. Rain is a winnable fight. You can beat Rain. I would put him over Kitana simply because the cancels are good and all, but once Sub Zero gets that little, gets that spacing to beat out Rain players, you can defeat Rain pretty easily. Johnny Cage is a tough match. Kenshi players is that's a difficult fight for Sub Zero simply because he could use like the Sento. Johnny Cage is tough because he could use like the combo resets to kind of use Tremor to kind of like pressure you in the corner. Baraka, that's a 50-50. Actually, no, I'm gonna put that in the Sub Zero wins. He could beat Baraka players. You just have to play very smart and don't let Baraka use his pressure to be overtly like aggressive. Havoc players. This is a Sub Zero wins category. You can beat Havoc players, but now that Havoc got nerfed, Sub Zero can definitely beat him a lot harder. Before Havoc was nerfed, this I would put him right here. Sub Zero loses, but you can win if you play smart. So Sub Zero can beat Havoc. You just have to play with the matchup very smart. Ashra, that's a Sub Zero wins category fight. Sindel, This is 50-50 because of what the Sindel Tremor BS that a lot of players are doing, but you can beat Sindel players. Sindel players are not like super unbeatable up against Sub Zero. Shao Kahn, I'm gonna put that in 50-50. Shao Kahn is a very strong character. He can easily destroy Sub Zero, but if you play smart up against him, you could very well destroy Shao Kahn. So that's a 5-5 matchup. Shang Tsung, this is a tough matchup category. I'll put him right there simply because he's really broken with his cameo steal ability. He can do a lot of mix-ups with like the aerial mix-ups with his fireball. So he's really broken for that. Natara, I'm going to put that 50-50 simply because she's able to use like the aerial BS combos to get that, 50% one bar combo nonsense. Reiko, that's a difficult fight for Sub-Zero simply because you're not able to like get past his command grab nonsense where he could do like the air command grab BS, and he uses Tremor every single time just to get that reset. Omni Man, same thing. You have to be very smart up against him. Otherwise, he's going to just bullshit. Four like back four. You know, command grab you. So therefore, he has plus frames off of that. Quan Chi, this is a Sub Zero loses matchup, but you can beat Quan Chi players if you play smart. Peacemaker, this is, I'm gonna say a tough matchup because Sub Zero can beat him simply because Peacemaker he likes to zone you with like the little bullshit pistol, but you can beat him. Ermac is a difficult fight for Sub Zero. You can win up against Ermac, but it's not gonna be easy. Homelander, this is a tough match, but Sub Zero can win. Takeda, that is a 9-1 matchup. You're going to lose, but you can beat Takeda players. Cyrax, same thing. You can beat her. Sector, yeah, you can beat Sector. This is 50-50. Noob Saibot, this is difficult fight. And Ghostface, I'm going to put him right there because he can infinitely BS, mix you to death, which is so stupid. T1000, I'm going to put him in the 50-50 fight category. And Conan, I'm gonna put him right here. It's a tough match, but you can easily defeat Conan players. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna break it down more in another video about why Sub Zero is still bad after the new patch. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think. And this is K Rod signing out. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you guys like around. All right, peace.